Well, wait for people to join, I guess. Mics are working, so we should be good. It's currently live. How many viewers are on there right now, does it say? It's going to take a little while for people to show up. 164. Okay, well, for all of you joining, give us a couple minutes. We're going to start sharing around the live that we're on here so that we can read all of your questions and comments. So hold your comments right quick till we get a few more viewers in here. We'll be trying to answer as many Scania related questions or questions just in general about what we've had going on the channel in the past couple months. So let's just give it a couple minutes and we'll be getting there shortly. All right. All right, let's dive right into this, guys. So if you're new here, my name is Bruce Wilson. Behind me is a Scania R770. It's the only one that like itself here in the USA currently right now. Scania's made me an agent of the company to take this truck and do some testing with it and take it around and show it off to the US trucker and take it around to truck shows and things like that. We've had quite an influx of people interested in the truck. A lot of companies want to know what's going on, and I'm going to try to answer everyone's questions to the best of my ability with the information that I have at hand right now. So let's dive into it. There's going to be lots of people commenting already, but I want to just try to pick out some of the questions I see that make the most sense. And I really appreciate all the viewers and everyone's support thus far, because without the viewers on YouTube and everywhere on all of my social media, this deal wouldn't have been possible without everyone's support. I think one of the biggest questions I get all the time from our European friends are, why do we not get the S-Cab? I've answered this question 100 times, but I'll answer it again today. We went with the R-Cab because of the height of the truck. Not that the S-Cab is not legally, is not too tall, but because we want to be able to put this truck on a trailer and haul it around to shows in different places if we needed to go somewhere last minute. So that's why I went with the R-Cab, because this cab with the suspension aired all the way down and the roof deflector all the way down, we can put it on our lowboy trailer and trailer it anywhere without being over height. Now you're probably wondering, well, Bruce, why do you have to trailer it? So this truck was able to come to the USA for a limited amount of time, and because it's owned by Scania still. I don't actually own the truck. It's here on special permissions from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration on a special manufacturer certificate, because it's technically not road legal here in the USA. We had to get quite a few permissions from the EPA and different other sources, some other sources, to allow the truck to be here. Now, with that being said, whenever we have a truck show we want to go to or an event, we had to turn in a full schedule of events throughout the entire year that it's going to be here, to these different administrations for them to get the stamp of approval. Now we have approval and we can add events throughout the year that we want to drive it to, but in order to drive it down the road, we have to have that stamp of approval to travel. Now, like I said, we have the R-Cab on here. We can load this up on a trailer and take it anywhere and drive it on private property, but it cannot touch a public highway without having that stamp of approval to travel anywhere. Wow, there's a lot more questions on here. Turn the volume up. Is anyone else having volume issues? I'm seeing a couple comments on that. Hey, Jack, gotta call the cameraman. Can you check your volume on like your phone? Can you turn the volume up on the mic thing maybe a little bit? Spring testing, let me know, guys. Spring testing, let me know, guys. Spring testing, let me know, guys. Should be a lot better now. Should be a lot better. It's gonna just keep echoing off my phone. All right, everyone's saying much better, so here we go. I'm trying not to stare at my phone. I want to pay attention to everyone you have. So, guys, I see lots of comments, but I need to see questions regarding everything on here. Can we not adjust the decibel? No, we can't on this. That's on the other ones. Never mind. All right, everyone says we're good now. Excellent question here from Max. What's my favorite thing about a Scania or European trucks in general that you didn't even know you needed before you saw it or experienced it? I think just the versatility of these trucks and the maneuverability in tight spaces. Even though it has the longer wheelbase, this truck does turn exceptionally sharp, and being able to lift the rear axle up and turn, just how quiet the interior of a cab is. Like, I need to get a tool to measure like the interior noise of like this truck compared to our Peterbilt or our tow trucks and stuff like that outside that are like the Peterbilt 389 and even like a 589 Peterbilt, to compare those so that people can see the differences. But I think being able to actually use Bluetooth inside the truck, because our new Pete has Bluetooth, but whenever you use it, the person on the other end of the phone can't hear anything you're saying because of the noise. So I think just how quiet the inside of the cab is, how smooth everything is, how ergonomic everything is inside the trucks. You know, everything's a lot better placed. It's just much more organized inside the truck. So yeah, I guess that would be a good answer there. Great question. Someone said in one of your videos something about after you're done with the truck, it would be going to Mexico. Can you explain a little more on that? So once our temporary import with the truck expires, the truck either has to leave the United States or it has to be crushed, dismantled, destroyed, according to the U.S. government's policies. So instead of it being destroyed, our plans are to either ship it back to Sweden and it be used on their test facilities there, because the truck, some of the things we spec'd it with, it's a little too far out from being European compliant, I believe. I could be wrong, but the easiest route would be just to send it to Mexico and let it be sold to a customer there. But it would most likely leave here and go to Mexico at the end of the USA Scania tour. Another great question. Does Scania endorse your modifications to the truck? Guys, believe it or not, you may think that I'm just doing all this stuff because I want to and the truck's going to get taken away. There's not a single thing we've done to this truck that we're planning on doing, the deck plate, the stuff with IL Customs, the hub covers, that hasn't already been pre-approved by Scania. And they are just overly enthusiastic to see the things we're doing to this truck to give it the American touch. So there's not anything that we've done to the truck or that we're going to do to the truck that hasn't already been pre-approved by Scania. And the modifications we're doing are all reversible. We can't do anything permanent to the truck because of our import instructions here. We can't modify anything. We can't change the factory lighting on the truck in any way whatsoever. I do have lots of plans to have American drivers get in the seat of the truck. The problem is I'm the only person in the USA other than other employees of Scania that can actually drive the truck on a public road. That's why I had to be made an agent of the company. So Unfortunately, there will not be anyone allowed to drive the truck here in the USA on public roads. Now, I do have plans to get it to some very large areas for people to drive it on private property. That is kind of one of the next plans in the very near future, but for now, I guess that kind of answers that question. We will be at the Bushnell, Florida Classic Truck Show next weekend with the truck. It's kind of a smaller truck show. It's just back in my hometown. I really love those guys. I wanted to show them some support. So we'll be getting some more truck driver reactions there. All right. Another great question. Is the truck suitable for USA traffic after the recent inspection? So that inspection that was done is a yearly inspection that we have to have done to every truck. That's not an inspection that we can use to sign the truck off and say, okay, it's safe to be driven on USA roads. In the back of my mind, I personally, in my opinion, I feel the truck is, you know, well past American truck standards of being safe. But we have to have that stamp of approval from all of these agencies to say, okay, the truck is perfectly legal to be here and to be driven. So until that's done, we're slightly limited to the different things we can do with it. Amongst the testing that would have to be done in the truck, that's a great question someone's asking before, is like, we have to have brake testing, a very rigorous brake testing done to get the brakes approved here in the USA, because the braking system's different on this compared to what we have here in the USA. The lighting system on the truck has to be approved. I don't know if the crash testing has to be done, because I don't think there's crash testing that's really done with big trucks in the US. I could be wrong. The emission system on the truck would have to be tested, which includes the engine, of course. Yeah, I think that covers some of the things that the truck would have to be tested on. Really great question, a little off topic from Scania. Can you explain your partnership with the Fitzgerald family and how you acquired the building and how the business you have kind of went through them? That's a great question. So I've been really great friends with Robert Fitzgerald for quite a few years now, probably going on about 5 years now, and got to know his brother Tommy, who owns 7 Peterbilt dealerships. Helped them get their YouTube channel started semi-casual and just creating content. Bought a Peterbilt truck from them and just kind of got to be friends with them. Hung out with them a lot, did a lot of business with them in the custom truck scene. Went to a lot of truck shows, started making videos together, kind of got them on the right path to making their own videos, similar to what I do with Tim Gentry. And they've all blossomed on their own and have advanced. And quite a while, I wouldn't say quite a while back, about a November-ish of 2023, Robert reached out to me. Robert Fitzgerald said, hey, I've bought this giant rotator semi-truck, a tow truck, and I'd like to figure out a way to get into towing. Do you want to be a part of this? Or do you want to make some content with it? You know, whatever it may be. Excuse me, a little cold in here. I was like, it sounds like a plan. So we were already going to be coming through Tennessee when I just bought the black Scania. So I swung in here and talked to Robert. We kind of came up with a game plan to try to find a way to use the rotator. Our plan was to put the rotator in action and find a way to start towing wrecked trucks and starting a towing company. Well, as we dug deeper into that, we realized just how much work it was going to take and the amount of people we needed to hire, and just how little we knew about the side of the road recovery part of that business. And that's when we kind of like backpedaled a little bit and said, well, maybe it'd make more sense to go into a salvage business, because at Fitzgerald Collision Repair, which Robert owns, which we made a lot of videos at, we were at that shop for a little while, has a few hundred trucks on the yard that are totaled from various companies that they do repairs for. And I was like, and Robert had been trying to figure out a way to start buying those trucks, the totaled trucks from these companies. And he's like, what if you want to head this up? I was like, that sounds like a lot of fun, because I've always loved tearing stuff apart and selling stuff. I'm really good at selling stuff. So we started looking for buildings to start the business in, and this building we're in now, 60,000 square foot building, came available here in Jamestown. And we ended up moving here and starting FCR Salvage, which I'm part owner in. And that's how I've kind of joined in the actual business with the Fitzgerald family, being Robert Fitzgerald as my partner in the Fitzgerald Collision Repair Salvage, FCR Salvage. So, and for those of you that don't know, our website is actually up now. It's sparetruckparts.com. We've started listing a lot of the engines, transmissions, parts trucks, all the different things we have here. We've been selling a lot of parts to Robert's other business, Fitzgerald Collision Repair. So it's actually, these two businesses are going to go hand in hand, and we're going to be buying totaled trucks from them and doing away with parts and selling parts to the public, but also selling parts to them for them to repair or wreck trucks with. The towing side of things, we kind of like phased that away and got rid of the rotator. It was like an exciting feeling to want to do that, but the amount of tools and support vehicles, it's like you have the rotator, but then you need like a 50-ton regular heavy-duty wrecker to go with that. You need support vehicles, you need all kinds of things, and it was just a huge monumental task to take that on and try to figure that out when we have so many other things going on. So we backpedaled a little bit and decided to go into the salvage business. So hopefully that answers that question. That was pretty long-winded. Why do American low bed trailers not have steering axles and hydraulic lifting axles to lift the trailer like we have here in Europe? It would make it much easier on bends and on railway crossings. That's a really great question. I think it's just a matter, it boils down to the price of that, and our roads here in the USA are just so big that we don't really have all the tight turns we need to turn around. I don't really know any other better answer to that. It's just a matter of our roads here are much larger. And we don't really have very many roundabouts. That's not really a thing here in the U.S. I mean, we do have them, but not as common as what you have in Europe, when I've been to Sweden and Finland. It would be nice to start seeing those here, but the cost would be astronomical compared to what a standard lowboy, like my Globe trailer we use that has the single flip axle, was $125,000. So I can only imagine what a trailer like that has axles that steer would be 200,000 plus. You know, just guessing here. Am I allowed to use the black Scania for work in the USA? Yes. Any truck that is over, really any vehicle that's over 25 years old can come right to the USA, and you can do whatever you want to do with it, which makes my mind hurt a little bit, because it's like the EPA has a problem with this coming, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has a problem with this coming because it's so new. And you'd think they wouldn't have a problem with it because it's actually much safer than my 25-year-old Scania. Not saying the Scania is not safe, but this has much more advanced technology for safety and emissions compared to the 25-year-old Scania trucks that can come here and go straight to work and go down the highway and do anything and everything you want to do with them. So makes you scratch your head a little bit. Will you let Tim Gentry try the Scania? He's supposed to be here tonight. Whether or not this man shows up, I don't know. So you guys need to go comment on all his stuff and say, hey, quit goofing off and come check out the Scania. Have I seen the Tratter Taxi since it left? The guy I sold my show truck, Peterbilt, the Tratter Taxi, he lives down in Texas. I haven't seen it since it left. It went to one truck show down there, from what I heard. But the fella bought it to park in a big shop like this and kind of just look at and enjoy it. He's not using it for work, so I'm kind of glad the truck, maybe one day we'll make a full circle and we'll buy it back. Who knows? What is the next giveaway? We are getting ready to launch a giveaway. We don't have any new merch. I just want to blow out all the current merch we have and let everyone get entered into our giveaway at a really great rate. So that'll be coming very soon, so be looking out for that. Wow, guys, you guys are loading in the comments here, so I'm trying to answer the questions as fast as possible. A lot of people asking, when do I come to Sweden again? I'm not sure when our next trip to Sweden will be. It'll probably be this summer sometime to Sweden, and then we're going to be going to the Power Truck Show in Finland once again. Hopefully to not burn a truck down trying to do a burnout with our boys at Uli Voimala. We'll be at the Power Truck Show that whole week. I'm super pumped about that. So hope to see you all there again with a totally different outlook on the European trucking scene now that we'll have had a truck almost a year at that point. All right, so people are still asking, why is the Scania not road legal as it sits right now? I've answered these questions, guys, so once we get done with the live, you'll have to go back and rewatch the live. Great question. What is the main issue with cab overs in the U.S. and why are they hated so much? So it's not necessarily that these trucks are hated, right? So the American, red-blooded American trucker sees this and they're like, all these plastic trucks, but they just don't know is the problem. And that's what our goal this year is, to get out, put this truck in front of a lot of people and show them that this is a really heavy-duty steel truck. It's just the B in this truck doesn't have a bunch of rivets down the side of it and doesn't look really, really beefy and heavy duty like what we're used to seeing here in the US. We associate these with like a Freightliner Cascadia or Peterbilt 579 or Kenworth T660 of the aerodynamic trucks here in the US, which a lot of the really red-blooded American truckers, that's what I refer to us as, I guess, just don't like the aerodynamic trucks because they don't give you that, you know, really old school feeling. So I think, excuse me, I think once we get people sitting in the seat and people are able to drive this truck and feel it out and understand it, that they'll really start to enjoy the comfort of the truck and the power that it offers. I love my boy Zip Ties and Bias Plies in Canada. Shout out. Great question. Someone else is asking, when are we changing our ugly front rims? So the reason we have these rims on the truck was so that they are interchangeable with the rear wheels and tires. When I spec'd this truck, I wanted it to be as similar and close to what we would have as a USA Scania, and that's why we have these rims on the front. Now we may go to the wider floats down the road just to have it at truck shows and stuff like that, but I wanted to appeal to the potential buyers of these trucks that would be here in the USA. What are we going to name the R770? We still haven't come up with a name for the truck. We need to come up with a name because we're actually going to be designing some t-shirts with this truck on it and getting we have a lot of really cool custom parts coming from Going in Style Holland. We've teamed up with those guys. We're just ironing out the final details and what parts we're going to be getting and putting on the truck. But we should be seeing those in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. Are we going to ship in more European trucks like Volvo, DAF, Iveco, and such? No, I'm pretty brand loyal to Scania, guys. So a lot of people wanting to see other trucks like that on the channel, they're probably not going to be coming and doing. I have no interest in bringing those trucks here. Now, will I film some of those trucks when I go to Europe? Potentially, yes. My friends at Uli Voimala, they have there's something wrong with them. I just haven't been able to figure it out. Especially my friend Villa, he's like, I have to take him to the doctor because I just haven't been able to find out he has like this mental problem where he really likes Volvo trucks. And we need to get him on some medicine because it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem. Oh boy. How much does it weigh? This truck sitting right here behind me weighs roughly 22,000 pounds. Now you may think, that's a lot. Well, this truck is double framed. It's got a hoss of an engine with lots of horsepower, and it has that lifting rear axle. All of those things add lots of weight. Now, can we spec a truck that would be comparable to the US weight of around 18,500 pounds? Yes, or even lighter. If we were to do that, we would put the super engine, which would be 560 horsepower, single frame and a non-lifting rear axle, and that would get us right down to the weight we would want to be at. But you give up weight, you sacrifice your weight for horsepower and being able to lift that rear axle. So the type of applications this truck would be in, where you would sacrifice the weights when you're moving heavy equipment, when you already have an overweight permit and things like that, so you don't really worry about weight too much. Any thoughts on the Tesla Semi? That's a great question. So I was actually watching a YouTube video last night. Tesla's building this like 4 million square foot Tesla semi truck manufacturing facility in Texas right now. I think they're a really cool product. I've wanted to see. I still want to see one in person and drive one, hopefully one day, and do a video on it. But it begs the problem of the Scania or the Tesla Semi will still forever be limited to the charger. It's no different than our diesel trucks. If we can't get diesel, we can't drive anywhere. If you can't find electricity or a 1 megawatt charger to charge those trucks up, then they're forever going to be limited to local use. So I don't know why Tesla didn't just go ahead and go with like a flat face truck, because they're never going to be good for over the road for who knows how long, 30, 40 years. Someone said, Bruce, I need an FLD hood. You should check out our website, sparetruckparts.com. And we have lots of, we're uploading parts daily there that we have in stock. Why are American truck manufacturers so behind the European truck? In your clips, U.S. trucks look like really antique in comparison, especially inside the cab. Well, it's just been the style of the trucks. It's just worked for a long time, and it's really like, why change, the style if people are buying them, and there's no length restrictions really. And I kind of got lost in one of the previous questions. Max, thanks, appreciate that, man, it means a lot. Name it Griff, short for Griffin, since it's the icon of Scania and all. Well, our red truck that we cut in half, we named it Griff, so maybe this is Griff 2.0. We're not going to cut the roof off of this one. But why do people not like the cab over truck? So other than like the plastic thing, the U.S. truckers, back when we had length laws like what you have in Europe and everywhere else in the world, the really short trucks, the cab overs, were extremely uncomfortable. When they first came out, some of them didn't have front brakes, didn't have power steering. They had air-powered steering, or they didn't have air ride cabs. They were just extremely uncomfortable and miserable to drive. So that's why a lot of the people, they like the nostalgia of the classic cab over truck. They are cool to drive around town here because people think they're really cool. But as far as driving one every day, they were miserable. So I think getting people inside a truck like this will really, change their feeling on that front. What's the power at the flywheel? These are 770 horsepower at the rear tires, so not sure. We do plan on putting this truck on a dyno in the very near future, hopefully sometime in the beginning of March is the plan. I've answered this question a few times. When will you do something with the white Scania? So the white Scania and the red Scania are pretty much going to be taken apart and used for parts. It's a lot more difficult than I expected to keep a 27-year-old Scania truck on the road. No different than keeping a 27-year-old Peterbilt here in the USA on the road. You have to have lots of used parts. Well, here in the US, there's 0 4 Series Scania parts other than the trucks that I have. So our red Scania that we cut the roof off of is in terrible shape. My plans with that one is to take the engine transmission out of it, and we're going to eventually rebuild both of those with the guys at Ulevoimala, and we're going to buy a 389 Peterbilt, probably a day cab truck, and swap that engine and transmission into it once they're both brand new again. So that's why that truck's kind of parked up. We're not doing anything else with it. The white Scania, we're going to pull the manual transmission out of it and that whole entire kit and swap it into the black truck, because the black Scania is probably the nicest one I have. Well, it's definitely the nicest one I have out of all three. With doesn't have any rust. The interior's in immaculate condition. So yeah, that's what's going on with all of our 4 Series. Someone said, how do I like living in Jamestown? It's definitely a culture shock. It's a massive, massive difference from living in Florida, where 5 minutes away from your house, you can be at any and every restaurant. You can have Amazon delivered the same day. It's more of a culture shock for my wife. I don't mind, not having everything at your fingertips. I can go home and just eat home-cooked dinner every night. That stuff doesn't bother me. Yeah. I'm getting some emails. So people, I'm not ignoring your comments. I'm just trying to read at the same time while answering them. Someone says, you are sending data back to Scania in particular mile per gallon, but are you sending that based on the US gallon or European gallon? They are different. So the US mile per gallon is how we're cataloging everything. Well, what's really cool is this truck's actually connected to the cloud with Scania, and we have designated everything in that to the US gallon. And the way that works is I could start the truck up right here and drive it 20 feet, and that system will know that we drove it 20 feet. So right now, out of all the driving we've done to Iowa and back everywhere, we're averaging 6.8 miles to the gallon, US gallon. That's 770 horsepower at 80,000 pounds. So I think that's really, really good for the horsepower number we have with a flat-face truck, and that's averaging 72 miles an hour. So moving pretty dang quick. All right. Not ignoring you guys, just trying to find some questions in here that I can answer. There's lots. You guys are really filling it up, so I'm trying to get to everyone's questions. Some people asking regarding my last video with the hybrid Peterbilt. That truck is a really cool project. I didn't have a hand in getting it to the point of where it's at with the paint and with the current form of that truck. But as far as getting Revolt hooked up with Scania USA, they were having some issues, like I mentioned, with Cummins. So Cummins and Cat and a lot of these big name manufacturers will not talk to you unless you spend $100 million with them, as far as getting a special engine or getting anything for a project of that nature. There was a company called Hyliion that had a lot of those parts, where Revolt actually got a lot of their parts from. Hyliion spent they had a $400 million budget to build what my friends at Revolt are doing, okay? And they're no longer in business because they just wasted a ton of money. But they bought a lot of natural gas engines, and they attempted to build those trucks with natural gas. Well, the problem with natural gas, like electric battery charging, is there's 0 natural gas filling stations out on the open highway. So by building a diesel hybrid, similar to what Edison is doing, I know who Edison is, I know Chase, I watch them, which is kind of what Revolt's doing. But with Revolt, they're more focused on, right now, building a retrofit kit for trucks on the highway or trucks in California that are that have lost their registrations because they aren't CARB compliant anymore. Edison, on the other hand, is a company that is focused on building brand new trucks, okay? They're not, from what I've gathered, I don't see where they're focused on building retrofit kits for semi-trucks quite yet. They may in the future, I don't know, but Chase's main goal of his business is to manufacture semi-trucks. Revolt, they're not manufacturing trucks. They're building these kits to retrofit trucks and potentially buy chassis from manufacturers and install these kits in them. So quite a bit of a different business plan going on there. Someone's asking if I've thought about collaborating with iRocker. I'm not sure who that is. I'll have to dive into that. How long until it has to go leave the States? Do you know iRocker? I guess I need to look into who this iRocker person is because everyone is asking that. Someone asked, what do you think about Edison Motors? I just answered that. I think they're a great group of guys. Being a truck manufacturer is not an easy road to go down. So I give kudos to those guys for going down that road and trying to make it happen. It looks like they are. Another great question. Would the T-Cab be popular in the USA? I've had people say that. We should have had Scania build a T-Cab to bring it here. But I don't think that these trucks coming to the U.S. looking like a U.S. truck is going to really further them. I think them coming to the U.S. like this is what the advantage is going to be to having a cab over that rides well, has the room inside the cab that it does, and has the maneuverability is what's going to help them sell if they come to the USA. The truck is 100% here until the middle to end of October. There are ways for us to make it stay longer, and we're currently working on that. But that's all the details I can really give out on that right now. All right, I'm still scrolling, guys. G'day, mate, from Australia. You need a big aluminum bull bar like we have here on all the semis. I've thought about that, but we're trying, I think the look here in the US has been like minimal and sleek. So that's kind of what we're going with a project with this, is like the idea behind that. Will Scania be available in USA or Canada? I've heard that they were available before. Good thing to point out. So Scania was available once upon a time here in the USA in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't think they were ever truly available in Canada. Right now you can take a Scania R Series, like an R500. You can import those into Canada, but they got to be 15 years old. So you're starting to see more Scanias in Canada now because it makes more sense to import one of those trucks because they're a little bit more fuel efficient and just newer overall. So they're actually quite a bit nicer. As far as Scania coming to the U.S. in the 80s and 90s, they honestly, the problem was when they came to the U.S. at that time frame, that was when the Caterpillar engine and the Cummins owned the road and the 18-speed transmission. When they came here, they only offered a 6-cylinder engine that was like 350 horsepower and a Scania 9 or 12-speed transmission. And from getting people here in the U.S. to adopt that underpowered engine and transmission setup, it was extremely difficult because people wanted what was extremely popular. And with Scania, you could only get a Scania engine and only get a Scania transmission. So that made it very limited, and I think that's why they didn't do very well. But now here in the U.S., you have very few choices, especially with new trucks. I mean, it's like less than 50% of the semi-trucks new sold now are manual transmission, and that's sinking every year. They're slowly going to all automatics, automated manuals. And you buy a Peterbilt, you can only get a PACCAR engine or a Cummins. You buy a Freightliner, you can only get a Detroit or a Cummins. You buy an International, you can only get a Navistar engine or a Cummins, which is now the Navistar A26. I think is slowly going to be phased out as the S13 powertrain package, which is a Scania engine and transmission, which is in the Internationals now. So, but now Scania, if they were to come to the USA, have a V8 that they would hopefully bring here, which is 770 horsepower and a transmission that's out of this world smooth. But even though if they came to the USA with only the 6-cylinder, they're 560 horsepower, and they're extremely fuel efficient and a really awesome transmission. So the timing couldn't be better for Scania to potentially come to the USA because of how the trucking industry and the new trucks have changed compared to what they were in the late 80s, early 90s. All right, let's get back to answering some questions. And this is another great point someone made, is just like with Scania coming here would make companies innovate more, and they actually are. The big two, Kenworth and Peterbilt, aren't really, but Freightliner, I just noticed the 2025 or 2026, the new Freightliners coming out the middle of this year. They'll have the electronic parking brake now. No more of the big red and yellow buttons you push with air inside the dash. They'll have electronic parking brakes in those trucks now. I'm sure there'll be a host of other new technology. I'll try to get one of those on the channel whenever they come out. I can see one. And the new Volvos that have come out have electronic parking brakes on the dashes now. So there is some innovation coming to the U.S. from the European market slowly. And I think the biggest reason those two trucks have that technology is because Freightliner here in the USA is the same thing as a Mercedes in Europe, and Volvo, obviously the same thing as a Volvo in Europe. Is the volume still okay with you guys? Is an international LT with an S13 engine a great start? I think it's a good start breaking into the US market with the Scania technology. The problem is International has such a bad, really bad name from their previous Navistar engines, that they came out and promised a lot of people that this is like the next, the engine of the future is going to solve a ton of problems, and they got a lot of people to buy these trucks with these Navistar engines in them, and they ended up basically having tons of problems, and International's like, well, we're sorry, and it put a lot of trucking companies completely out of business. And now if you mention the name International around certain companies, they will punch you in the face. Like, they want nothing to do with it. So it's really hard right now for International with that engine and transmission, even though it's a really great design and it's proven everywhere around the world, to get people to believe in it because of what International told them before with the old engine and the old engine that was previously sold to them that had nothing but problems. So I think it'll take off eventually once it's out and being proven, and people will start buying it once they see it's a good working combination. But for now, it's going to take a little while to get to that point. Whoa. Is it still reading sound? We're trying to fix the mic, guys. Darn. All right. Sound a lot better, guys? Let me know. Okay. I think its best thing for Scania would be to enter a specific region on the East Coast with companies which do only regional traffic, build up a network, and expand. Couldn't agree more. I think that the biggest thing Scania can offer the U.S. is the technology for waste management trucks, garbage trucks, fire trucks. They make a really good four-door truck. A lot lower cost than what these what these municipalities are paying for their Pierce fire trucks. I mean, they look cool and classic, but they're super outdated and extremely, extremely expensive. Next would be like dump trucks. I mean, the U.S. dump trucks here, we've got 4 and 5 axle dump trucks, and they're a longer truck. And I've had lots of people, dump truck operators, that would have a Scania any day of the week because they already sit in a day cab truck. But if they had one that had more room and there was a twin steer, then there wouldn't be need to drop a non-steering axle back there. So I think the waste collection trucks, fire trucks, specialty trucks like that for municipalities, dump trucks, and then getting into like a higher horsepower truck like this where that could replace some of the heavy moving trucks out there. And then especially having the planetary rear hubs for moving extra heavy stuff. Long haul stuff on a owner operator level, I think Scania would be great. The problem is it's going to be really difficult for until we do more testing along the lines with like a 6-cylinder engine here in the U.S. with a Scania for fleet trucks, because there are fleet trucks here in the U.S. now that are moving 65,000 pounds total down the road, 65 to 75,000 pounds, that are maintaining 9 to 10 miles per gallon, which is really hard at doing 65, 70 miles per hour. Not saying that Scania is not capable of it, but we would have to get a truck here and do testing to know that that would be a viable market. But I really think the trade trucks, these trucks that have specific uses, would be the right place for Scania to come into the USA and hopefully go down that path. But like I said, this is all just my opinion, hypothetically talking. This is nothing that's going to happen in the near future. John Michael on the rotator, if you go back and rewatch the live once we upload it, I answer every question about the rotator situation. Someone asked, are you bringing blue collar equipment back in Jamestown, Tennessee? We actually have a piece of property and a building we're renovating and excavating on right now to open up blue collar equipment sales here in Jamestown, Tennessee. My mother and father-in-law are going to be moving up here part-time to help get that up and running. And then as I'm getting older and being a part of businesses and seeing people around me like Robert Fitzgerald and that family and just other people that are in the same headspace as myself, I want to find different ways to own different, multiple businesses and find ways to employ people and have, help people make a living, make a good living too, the one they deserve to get paid well. So between having the salvage business, we hope to grow and have lots of employees here by middle to the end of the year. Having a tractor business here in town. I want to open a sandwich shop here in town. That's kind of planned for the summer. Yeah, I mean, I just want to open lots of businesses. Yes, I know who Trucker Tim is from the UK. I plan on doing some content with him at some point throughout the year. Are you still going to put a Scania engine in a Peterbilt? Well, you answered that question. Yes, we do plan on doing that. Someone commented, Trucker Tim is a fake trucker. Guys, I get that comment all the time here in the U.S. It's impossible to be a everyday, all-day truck driver of any kind when you're creating content, making YouTube videos. There's days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do anything with YouTube today. I just want to go get my job done and get stuff done that I need to get done. Whether it be with the tractor dealership we're planning on opening, the salvage business. When we get done with this live, I've got to go pick up a truck I've bought in Rickman, a wrecked semi-truck over there at the collision facility. My brother Aaron right now is out picking up 2 Cascadia Freightliners that we've bought to tear apart, use for parts. We've got 2 international trucks in Atlanta to go pick up. I've got 2 trucks in Ohio to go pick up. Like, we have all these things going on, but I still have to sit down and make time to make YouTube videos. So in some people's eyes, that may not be a real trucker, and making content while moving or doing anything with semi-trucks may not be considered real truckers, but that's just the reality of it. If you want us to continue to make content that people like to watch, sometimes we have to haul and do different things to make content, and that's just part of it. So it's just not, it's just not the easiest thing in the world to make YouTube content and try to do semi-truck stuff. Put Jake brakes on a Scania. So we don't need to, because the V8s, I don't think there's Jake brakes on any of the V8 Scanias. That would be a cool sound. But these trucks have a retarder on the gearbox, which actually uses hydraulic pressure to work the gears against each other to slow the truck down. So it's actually a lot more efficient than using Jake brakes. Now the S13 engine, or the Super engine, does actually have engine braking on it, because here in the US, on the international trucks, the S13 engine does not have a retarder here. They don't even offer it, which I thought was unfortunate. But that's another thing that makes the cost of this truck and the weight go up, is having that retarder on there. So yeah, the S13 engine here in the US has Jake exhaust brakes only. Not exhaust brake, I'm sorry. It has engine braking only, compression braking, and no retarder. But the one in the Super truck engine, and the Super engine in the Scania has the retarder and compression braking, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it does, which is really, really strong. The reason we call them Jake brakes is because there's a company called Jacobs Brakes who actually designed the engine compression brake system in the US, and it's just kind of a name that picked up, and that's what everybody calls them now. Fuel mileage on the Scania, like I mentioned, at 80,000 pounds loaded, we're 6.8 miles per gallon. Right now, the truck has 2,500 miles on it, so it's got a little bit of miles on it since we've had it. Would you consider going to Truck Star in Assen? There's lots of truck shows I really want to go to this summer. It just boils down to all the different businesses I have going on, and the airfare and cost of flying and staying at these truck shows is not cheap, especially when I travel with my cameraman Jack, or I want to take my wife somewhere. It's like, by the time we hop in a plane, and even flying economy, flying from here to like Finland, if I wasn't able to stay with my friend Villa at his house and do stuff with him, like, just flying there and back is like $4,000 from here in the USA. Now, if you are going to take someone else, then you double that amount. And then you have food and hotels. And like, every time I go from here to Sweden to see anything to do with Scania, I always have someone with me. Like the last trip where myself and my wife went, we went with flights, hotels, and everything. It was like $10,000 to go there for a week and come back. And you just hope and pray you make enough money from YouTube videos to cover that. Yeah, it's not cheap to fly around the world. One day we'll be rich and have a private jet. One day. The NGS T-Cab in the USA. I just don't think the T-cab is the right way moving forward with the U.S. market. I think the flat face truck, the maneuverability of it's going to be the best thing for the U.S. market. I've actually talked to Cletus about using his racetrack and stuff like that. The only problem with the racetrack is the weight of the truck, because it weighs a lot for the drag strip. Now, there are a few drag strips in Florida and one up here in Kentucky. We're working on being able to use a private facility to do some filming and let people drive it. But as soon as I have that figured out, we'll be making videos and you guys will know about that. Someone said, how about a 10% hill loaded up to limit? There's actually a really big hill right out here at the shop. And we're gonna load the trailer, the lowboy, extremely heavy, like as heavy as possible, and do a really cool video with that. So it's coming, I promise. We're gonna recreate a very specific video on Scania's YouTube channel. Have you used the coffee maker yet? No. I plan on letting my wife, Amber, get in there and make some coffee on it. We're going to make some YouTube videos or YouTube shorts with that. That's another great question. Guys, we got about 10 more minutes on here, so I want you all to start firing your questions away. I'm going to answer them really quick. I'm not going to draw them out. It's going to be yes, no's, or really quick questions. Whistling Diesel is not going to have his hands on this truck. That's not happening. What about the red Peterbilt? I did sell a red Peterbilt to Cody, Whistling Diesel. He's doing durability testing on it. We're supposed to have the option to buy back whatever's left of it afterwards. Favorite thing about the Scania? Comfort and horsepower. Have you seen the new Scania interior? Yes, I did get to see that when I was in Finland at the Power Truck Show. Are you coming to the UK? I would like to come to the UK soon. My friend Paul lives there. Him and I talked about visiting together. He's from there. He doesn't live there now. How did you discover Scania? Just YouTube, like everyone else here in the US. Are you putting any spotlights on it? I think we may do some simple ones right here in the front, but that'll be about the most. Do you have double-deck trailers in the USA? I'm not sure what you mean by double-deck trailers. I've never been to Norway. I need to look at the camera, sorry. Any stops in Indiana with a Scania? Potentially, not sure yet. We'll be dropping a truck show list everywhere we're going to be with the truck at some point on social media. Greetings from Sweden. Awesome question. Did you order the Scania with a low ratio rear axle to make it efficient at higher speeds? Yes. Don't ask me what ratio it is, but we did get when we spec'd the truck on Scania's spec web configurator, we spec'd it for the average speed being 75 miles per hour. So yes, it is spec'd perfectly for that speed. No, we cannot have a 16-foot high trailer. The maximum height here in the US is 13 feet 6 inches. Did we already hook up the 12-volt converter? No, we're going to be removing the deck plate and some of the parts from Iowa Customs and wiring up the 12-volt converter in the next few days and making a YouTube video on that because we're going to be heading out to Florida next Wednesday. How can U.S. companies get Scania trucks to come to the U.S. market? If that becomes a possibility and I need help, I'll let you guys know. Scania has a 12-speed automated manual transmission. Are you coming to Old Town Rigdown Truck Show? Yes, we will be there with the Scania this year. We'll be at the 75 Chrome Shop Truck Show also in Florida. So we bought a new Ram flatbed and a new gooseneck trailer. My brother was driving it, and someone ran him off the road, and he rolled it. He's okay, not a scratch. He's only doing like 30 miles an hour. Someone's seen it in the background of one of my videos. Yeah, truck had 2,000 miles on it and got totaled. And we bought another truck to replace it that's used. And we're working on fixing the gooseneck trailer now. So. How would a company become a sponsor for me? That's a good question. You can just drop me an email, brucewilsonshop@gmail.com, and we can have a conversation about that. What? It's not till 12 now. I got moved. Can I get finished subtitles for the videos? There's actually a way on YouTube to watch our videos in every language out there. So you may have to do some research on that, because YouTube made it to where all you do is click a button and somehow my voice is translated into every other language. Do North American trailers fit the Scania? Yes, they do fit. We do need to raise the fifth wheel up a couple inches, I think. That would probably be ideal. Gonna have to work on that soon. Is a Scania serviceable at any truck center? Not right now, it's not. Maybe in the future it would be. You think more people have started to import 25-year-old Scanias? Yes, there's a guy here in the U.S. that actually bought a Scania, shipped it to our friends at Uli Voimala because he saw my videos, is having them build it, and then he's going to have it here in the U.S. I don't know his name or information, but I know Uli Voimala is making YouTube videos on the repairs of that truck. We cannot put the Zac lift on the black Scania or really any of these Scanias because they're too short. The Zac lift requires a 285-inch wheelbase because of the way that, so you have the back of the truck here, right? Front of the truck, back of the truck. Well, when the Zac lift is on here, whenever you pick a truck up, it then wants to pick the other side of the truck up because the pivot point are the rear axles. Well, if you don't have the wheelbase, so when you do that, it's just going to do this. So with the Scania, like Uli Voimala's tow truck, they've got like a 10,000-pound piece of steel on the front of it to help counterbalance that. So these trucks are entirely too short to be able to do that. Are you going to change the front tires to wide ones? Potentially. The problem is we have to get special wheels shipped here to do that, and the cost of getting those wheels here is not cheap. So I'd like to, but we did these so that it would be similar to the US trucks here where you swap from front to rear. Scania does supply engines here in the US for construction equipment and generators currently, so the parts market is here for Scania engines, not necessarily trucks. Trying to find some comments, guys. Give me a second. Or some questions. We got about 5 more minutes, and then I've got a meeting to hop into on top of everything else. Yes, there are lots of custom trucks that are on airports here in the U.S. that do have Scania V8s in them for pumping water, but they're not for highway use. They're not Scania trucks. And marine applications. Actually, in 2 weeks we'll be taking a Viking yacht in Fort Lauderdale out that has 2 Scania V8s on it. We'll be making a video on that, so that's going to be really cool. So make sure you're paying attention to that very soon. Scania was able to be sold in the USA back 30 years ago now because they went through everything to get them US compliant. Dang, we've been talking for an hour. So that's basically what Scania would have to go through today to get this truck compliant, is what they had to do back in the 80s and 90s. But there's a lot more testing that has to be done now compared to what it was like back then. So it's a lot more red tape to cut through. That's for dang sure. Yes, the heater works. The Webasto heater on this truck does work without the truck running. It does not have a tachograph. So when we ordered it, we didn't spec it for a tachograph because here in the US we don't use that. We use what's called e-logs, where they actually plug into the truck system and monitor your driving. Now, that is something we would eventually have to retrofit these trucks with, or have the ability to plug in an e-log, what we have here in the USA. But right now, since the truck is not for hire and it's here for just demonstration purposes and things like that, we're only going to be using paper log books. Would you prefer U.S. trucks catching up when technology, or Scania entering the U.S. market? I'd prefer Scania come to the USA and dominate and make those guys bring their technology up. Because the problem is, if the U.S. trucks start to up their technology, they're going to up their prices. But if a truck were to come to the USA with the correct pricing already and the correct technology, then U.S. manufacturers couldn't just up their prices because they brought the technology to the future like they should have done from the get-go. Would I keep the blue Scania if the U.S. approves it? Of course. I would do anything to keep this truck here permanently and use it every day for work and be able to drive it to lunch every day. Like, we would do everything with it if that was possible, believe me. What do I think of the e-Scania? I would love to get one of those electric trucks here. I think they're really cool and they're super powerful. I think there's a lot of use for a good quality electric semi-truck here in the USA, in the cities and different municipalities and things like that. The companies that are making electric trucks right now, they're getting there. The technology is slowly, they're figuring out and ironing it all out, but it's just not anything compared to any electrification from Europe. Even the cars in Europe, things like that, are eons ahead. I think the Scania or Tesla electric trucks will be, the semi-trucks will probably be really great trucks once they get those figured out too, but they still have quite a few issues from what I've heard. The secondhand Scania torpedo longline as a restoration project. That's a mouthful. The problem again is, like, if we were to get something like that as a restoration project, like, people gave me absolute hell for cutting the top off the red Scania. Well, cut the top off of it because we wanted to go do burnouts and do fun stuff with it. Because I'm a motorhead, I like turning things up and doing stuff. It's just too tall to put on a trailer, and you couldn't drive it or pull it down the road. And then fixing up the black and white truck, it's just, without having those parts readily available to just pull something off the shelf or order something and take a few days to get, it's impossible to restore a truck here. That's why I'm like, if we do another 4 Series project, I'll probably buy a truck. We'll take it to Finland, Ulivoimala, have them rebuild it and do everything they're going to do to it there. And then we'll ship it to the USA, and it'll just be done once it's here. Because, and we may paint it when it gets here, but the mechanical aspect of things, all of that, it would have to be done before it came to the USA. Great question. If we were to get a new Scania V8 and put a generator engine in one of our old Scanias or in a new Peterbilt, there's regulations that keep you from doing that. It's not like we have a yearly inspection where they're checking to see if you have any emission systems on trucks, or our DOT officers here don't check for emissions compliant systems. But the problem with us is we do everything on YouTube. Everything's in the public eye. So if we were to do something that wasn't 100% up and perfect, someone would find out, and someone would become knocking on our door and saying, hey, You can't do that. So you just got to be 100% above board. We definitely can't straight pipe this, that's for sure. Do you feel this trial will help bring Scania to the U.S.? I feel like it's a move in the right direction to test the U.S. market viability. Now, whether or not it's going to come to fruition, I can't give you guys a straight answer. I just can't. We hope. And everyone's support and comments and subscribing to the channel if you guys aren't subscribed, and commenting and telling everyone how you would love to see this truck here in the USA only helps push the cause and further the cause. And maybe emailing Scania and saying, hey, we want to see these trucks in the USA, commenting on their social medias, you know, all of that is what would help make this possible. But that's a wrap, guys. I've been on here for a little over an hour. I'm parched, need something to drink. It's lunchtime here, and I've got some other work to go do. But yeah, with that being said, make sure you guys smash the like button. And we're going to go ahead and upload this live to the channel. So if you feel like you missed anything, had some other questions, I answered lots of questions, and I've seen lots of questions being asked that I've already answered on here. So that's something to think about. We've got 900 people still watching, so if all of you guys could smash that like button and get it to at least 900, that'd be great, because right now it's sitting at 500. So everyone hit the like button right now on the live, and let's get that up. And like I said, I can't thank everyone enough for the support, because without my viewers' support, this truck right here sitting behind me on US soil would not be possible. I mean, I've never thought in a million years that some dude started making YouTube videos 9-10 years ago from Dade City, Florida, would be involved with a, billion-dollar conglomerate like Scania, big company like Scania or the Volkswagen Group. So I really appreciate everyone and their support. But smash that like button, guys. We're about to get out of here. And yeah. A lot of people asking, did I see the new digital dashboard? I did. I did see it. But for now, guys, we'll see you all later. Peace.